Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today is day 7. Seventh day. The pain of remorse. Point 1. The evil that had to be avoided. Point 2. The good that had to be done. First point. The torments we have already spoken of not, alas, the only ones with which the soul detained in the place of expiation are tortured. They suffer sadness, desolation, bitter regrets, and the cutting reproaches of a guilty conscience, which are 1,000 times more difficult to bear than the pains of the material fire, which burns without consuming. In hell, as Scripture tells us, their worm dieth not. Not so in purgatory, there it will one day die. But so long as it lives, its bite is cruel, and it sears its unfortunate victim, whose executioner it has become. Oh, how terrible is the struggle of a soul that is weighed down with remorse. From the depths of its dungeon, the captive soul casts a mournful look on its former life, and by the light of the flames which surround it, it sees distinctly all the evil it has committed, and which, with the grace of God, it could so easily have avoided. It sees clearly thousands of faults which in life had passed unheeded, or had not been considered serious, compelled to acknowledge itself guilty. The poor soul, who had it in its power to be righteous, is overwhelmed with grief, and the excess of its sorrow cries out, O God, thou art just, and thy judgments are just. I alone am the cause of my sufferings. Could I but recommence my life, how well would I serve thee, O Lord, and with what care would I avoid purgatory? But these regrets are useless. Alas, it is too late, too late. Christian soul, let this be a lesson to us to avoid sin and do penance here on earth so as to escape these pains, this never-dying worm of purgatory. Let us say with St. Augustine, here cut, here burn, spare me not here, O Lord, provided thou sparest me eternally. Second point. What increases greatly the sufferings of the exiled soul is the sight of all the good it might have done, and that it has so often omitted, the recollection of all the favors it has received from God's bounty, but which it did not always make a good use of. In a word, what could the Lord do more to make it bring forth the fruits of salvation? He had given it the gift of the true faith. He had nourished it with the sacraments, fortified it by His grace, and encouraged it by good examples. With so many helps, it ought to have advanced with a giant step in the path of sanctity, and have reached, as so many others had done, the highest perfection. But, notwithstanding all these aids, the unhappy soul not only advanced so slowly, but often halted. Oh, had it been but a little generous, and had inflicted on itself a small penance, or some slight mortification, if even it had accepted with resignation the inevitable pains of life, it would have had its purgatory upon earth, and at death would have enjoyed the beatific vision for eternity. But now it has to endure through its own faults and without merit, incomparably greater sufferings. Instead of a crown of glory that it might have had in heaven, it is tortured in purgatory by a crown of flames. Oh, what an afflicting thought, and what a sharp sting of remorse will not this be? Christian soul, enter into yourself and see if you also do not feel remorse of conscience and very bitter regrets. The regret of having committed much evil and done but little good. The regret of having prayed so little for the relief of the souls of your deceased relatives. Delay not to make a firm resolution with the assistance of God and the Blessed Virgin to do better for the time to come. Example. Gerson, Chancellor of the University of Paris, who was as renowned for virtue as he was for eloquence, relates in one of his writings that a mother who had been long forgotten by her son was permitted by God to appear to him to tell her sufferings and solicit his prayers. My son, exclaimed she, my dear son, think a little of your poor mother, who suffers so much. Reflect on the frightful torment which divine justice makes me endure in expiation for the sins of my mortal life. But the greatest of all these torments is remorse. The deep regret I feel for having loved God so little, who had granted me so many graces, for having offended so great, so holy a God, so enlightened a judge, such a tender father, such a generous benefactor. Oh, it is this thought which overwhelms and kills me at every moment. This gnawing worm is like to a sharp dagger, which stabs without causing death, which tortures day and night, and draws from me tears of blood. At the same time, I am forced to cry out in striking my breast, My God, thou art just. If I suffer cruelly, it is through my own fault, through my very great fault. O my son, if you still love me, take pity on me. Draw out this dagger. Deliver me from the worm that gnaws me, and open heaven to me. One other thing I ask of you, my loved son. Serve God better than your mother did, and when death comes, die with tears of repentance and a contrite heart. The youth was faithful to his mother's warnings. He prayed much for her, and he himself died the death of the just. Prayer. Grant me, O God, the grace to become as holy and as perfect as thou dost wish me to be. The souls in purgatory are severely punished by the upbraidings of regret for having been negligent. Soften their remorse, O Lord, by forgiving their faults, for the sword that stabs them is too sharp. O Jesus, have mercy on them. Call thy children and our brethren to the possession of glory. May they rest in peace. Requiescat in pace. And this is the end of day 7. Thank you guys for listening, and I will see you tomorrow in the next video. God bless.